Sir, can you give me some advice on how to prepare for exam?
Thank you, Nitin, for that question. This is a very relevant question that I get asked very often by my students. And what I'm going to tell you now is what I tell them. First of all, you must understand what an examination is. Examination is basically nothing but a glorified memory test. Yes, of course, there are questions on board exams where you are asked to apply your understanding, where your higher order thinking skills are utilized. But even the higher order skill questions are nothing but a question of understanding and remembering the concept that is required to solve the question. There are pattern recognition questions that often pass as IQ tests. However, if you have solved a number of pattern recognition questions, you will be able to memorize the way in which patterns are formed. So, whether it is an IQ test that purportedly measures your intelligence quotient, or whether it is a board examination, or if it is a UPSC exam, at the end of the day, every exam is a matter of preparation and of memory. So, now that we know that every exam is nothing but a glorified memory test, we should be able to now understand how to develop our memory. Well, this is not a thing that people have been trying to achieve in the last few decades. You will find even Aristotle and Socrates have spoken about this topic at length. In fact, Aristotle had developed one of the earliest memory techniques known as the memory palace or the method of loci. I'll give you another interesting fact. William Shakespeare, who owned the Globe Theatre and was one of the most famous playwrights in the history of literature, also used various memory techniques for his actors so that they would not forget their lines. Let me give you a brief example. The Globe Theatre, which was owned by William Shakespeare, had various places where Shakespeare would place objects and things which would remind the actors or give them cues to what they had to say. The first position, a particular object was placed and the actor would memorize and put a part of his dialogue figuratively on that object. For example, if the dialogue was, let's say, about an apple, in the first place, Shakespeare would put an apple, and if the actor stumbled his lines, he would simply look at that apple and remember that whatever he had to speak had something to do with that apple. Which is why you will find that in the English language, the conjunction or the preposition in the first place is used quite often. This comes straight from William Shakespeare. When William Shakespeare put something in the first place, the actor began his dialogue saying, in the first place, secondly, thirdly, and furthermore. So this is an example of how a memory palace is constructed. We will talk about this in much more detail in our further podcasts. Another memory technique that I ask my students to use often is using their body to memorize speeches or various points. Suppose there are 3 or 4 points in an answer which the student must give a response to. The various points and their keywords are converted into an image or an object and then placed at various parts in the body. I think you enjoyed this part. Let's catch up later.
Thank you, sir.